Deceptive first contact. The silence of space was shattered by a burst of energy as a battered spacecraft tore through the fabric of reality, emerging from what appeared to be a wormhole on the outskirts of Earth's solar system. Its hull was scarred with plasma burns, and debris trailed in its wake like a comet's tail. As it limped towards the blue marble of Earth, automated defense systems across the planet lit up like a Christmas tree. In the United Earth Defense Force, UEDF, headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, alarms blared. General Akira Tanaka, a veteran of the Mars Rebellion of 2089, strode into the command center, her cybernetic eye whirring as it scanned the holographic displays. "Status report," she barked, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's survival. Lieutenant Commander Zhou Chen, her fingers dancing across the haptic interface, responded without looking up. "Single vessel, unknown configuration. It's broadcasting on all frequencies, Tur." The message, it's in English. Tanaka's organic eye widened. "English. Put it through." A gravelly voice, tinged with static and what sounded like desperation, filled the command center. "People of Earth, we come seeking sanctuary. Our world has fallen to the galactic hegemony. We are all that remain of our civilization. Please, help us." The room fell silent, the only sound the soft hum of quantum computers processing the unprecedented situation. Tanaka's mind raced. First contact. It was the moment humanity had been preparing for, dreading, and anticipating in equal measure for centuries. "Probe data?" Tanaka asked, breaking the spell. Chen swallowed hard. "Scans confirm severe structural damage. Life support systems are failing. We're detecting approximately 50 life signs aboard, sir. Weak, but stable." Tanaka closed her eyes for a moment, weighing the risks against her conscience. When she opened them, her decision was made. Initiate first contact protocols. Dispatch the UEDF Mercy with the Vigilant and Defiant as escort. I want a full quarantine setup in lunar orbit. As her orders were carried out, Tanaka couldn't shake the feeling that this was too convenient, too perfect. But the alternative, turning away a dying species in their hour of need, was unthinkable. Aboard the UEDF Mercy, a state-of-the-art medical frigate, Dr. Yuki Sato prepared her team for the unknown. An exobiologist with a reputation for thinking outside the box, Sato had trained her entire life for this moment. "Remember," she addressed her nervous team, "they may look strange, they may act strange, but today, we're all doctors first. Xenophobia has no place in medicine." As the Mercy approached the alien vessel, escorted by the sleek, predatory forms of humanity's most advanced warships, Dr. Sato couldn't help but marvel at the alien design. It was organic, almost coral-like, with flowing lines that seemed to defy traditional engineering. The docking procedure was tense, the silence broken only by the hiss of atmospheric equalizers and the metallic clank of the airlock. Dr. Sato, encased in a biosafety suit, was the first to step aboard. The interior of the alien ship was a mess of twisted metal and pulsing, organ-like structures. And there, huddled in what appeared to be the bridge, were the aliens. They were tall, willowy creatures with iridescent skin and large, compound eyes. One of them stepped forward, its movements graceful despite obvious injury. "Thank you," it said, its voice a melodic trill that the universal translator rendered into crisp English. "I am Zarthal, last admiral of the Luminary Fleet." As Dr. Sato and her team worked to stabilize the aliens and transfer them to the Mercy, Admiral Zarthal recounted their tale. The galactic hegemony, a coalition of militant species, had swept through their sector of space, conquering or destroying all in their path. The Luminary, a peaceful race of scientists and artists, had been among the last to fall. Back on Earth, the news of first contact spread like wildfire. Humanity, long divided by petty squabbles, found itself united in purpose. Aid poured in from every nation. Corporations redirected resources to support the relief effort, and volunteers lined up in droves to help their new galactic neighbors. In the following days, as the Luminary recovered in the lunar quarantine facility, they shared their advanced knowledge freely. Breakthroughs in medicine, energy production, and faster-than-light travel tantalized human scientists. It seemed too good to be true. And it was. On the seventh day, as Earth celebrated its new alliance and the dawn of a new era, everything changed. Dr. Sato, working late in her lab on the lunar base, noticed something odd in the Luminary's cellular structure. It was subtle, easy to miss, but once seen, impossible to ignore. Their cells were breaking down and reforming at an impossible rate. As she raced to report her findings, the quarantine alarms began to blare. The Luminary were changing, their bodies twisting and growing into monstrous forms. The iridescent skin hardened into chitinous armor, delicate hands transformed into vicious claws, and those large, expressive eyes became cold and predatory. In orbit, the damaged Luminary ship suddenly came to life. Its hull rippled and expanded, the holographic camouflage falling away to reveal a massive dreadnought. And it wasn't alone. Space itself seemed to tear open as an armada of similar ships poured through, their weapons already charging. General Tanaka, awakened by the highest-level alert, rushed to the command center. The holographic displays showed a scene of unfolding horror. The lunar base was under attack from within, while Earth's meager defenses scrambled to meet the threat from above. It was a trap. Tanaka breathed, the weight of her mistake crashing down upon her. But there was no time for self-recrimination. All units, battle stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. As humanity's first, last, and only line of defense rushed to meet the overwhelming alien force, a chilling message boomed across all frequencies. The voice of Admiral Zarthal, once melodic and grateful, now dripped with malice and contempt. Foolish humans, it growled, the translator struggling to keep up with the new vocal patterns. Your compassion is your weakness. Did you really think you were the first? Countless civilizations have fallen for our deception. Your pitiful defenses are nothing compared to the might of the galactic hegemony. Surrender now, and perhaps we will be merciful. On screens across the planet, people watched in horror as the massive alien fleet descended upon them. Parents clutched their children, lovers held each other close, and soldiers steeled themselves for what seemed like a hopeless battle. But in the UEDF headquarters, General Tanaka's cybernetic eye gleamed with a fierce determination. Send to all commands, she ordered, her voice steady and resolute. Humanity does not surrender. We will not go quietly into the night. We fight, not just for our survival, but for every species that has fallen victim to this treachery. Today, we show these alien bastards what humanity is truly capable of. As the orders went out, something remarkable happened. The fear that had gripped humanity began to transform. It became determination, then anger, and finally, a cold, calculated resolve. In labs, factories, and military bases around the world, humans began to innovate, improvise, and prepare. They had been tricked, yes. Outgunned, certainly. But if there's one thing humans excelled at, it was beating the odds. As the alien fleet approached, humanity stood ready. They might be a tiny force compared to the galactic hegemony, but they were humanity, and they would not go down without a fight. The battle for Earth was about to begin, and the aliens who scoffed at this tiny force were about to learn a painful lesson. Never underestimate the human spirit. The Trojan horse gambit. The vast emptiness of space was suddenly alive with the fire of 1,000 suns. The galactic hegemony's fleet, a writhing mass of biomechanical monstrosities, bore down on Earth's seemingly paltry defenses. Admiral Zarthal, now a towering insectoid creature, watched from the bridge of his flagship with what passed for a smirk on his alien features. Pathetic, he chittered to his subordinates. They send toys to fight a war. Indeed, to the alien eyes, humanity's defense fleet looked woefully inadequate. A mere 100 ships, dwarfed by the hegemony's armada, held position around Earth. The alien scans showed primitive weaponry, weak shields, and hull materials that would crumple under their advanced weaponry. Zarthal's overconfidence was about to cost him dearly. As the alien fleet moved into firing range, General Akira Tanaka's voice crackled over the secure channel to all Earth vessels. Operation Trojan Horse is go. May your aim be true and your hearts be strong. For Earth. The response came back in a chorus of determined voices. For Earth. Suddenly, the human fleet burst into action. But instead of advancing or retreating, the ships began to split apart. Hulls separated, revealing hidden compartments. What had appeared to be 100 ships quickly became 500 smaller, more agile craft. On the bridge of the UEDF Artemis, Captain Jamal Mbik allowed himself a grim smile. His ship, once a lumbering cruiser, had transformed into 3 sleek attack vessels. Modular ships deployed, he reported. Wraith stealth systems engage. Across the fleet, the scene repeated itself. The alien scanners, calibrated for larger vessels, struggled to track the swarm of smaller ships, now darting between asteroids and space debris. Zarthal's compound eyes widened in surprise. Impossible. Where did they? His question was cut short as the first wave of human attacks hit home. Swarms of missiles, launched from positions the aliens hadn't even known existed, slammed into the hegemony's front lines. The aliens' superior shields held, but the unexpected assault threw their formation into disarray. Back on Earth, in the UEDF headquarters, General Tanaka watched the battle unfold with steely determination. Now, Commander Chen, execute Phase 2. Zhou Chen, her hands flying over the holographic interface, initiated the next stage of humanity's desperate gambit. Across the solar system, hidden weapons platforms came to life. Asteroids that the aliens had dismissed as space debris suddenly ignited fusion drives, revealing themselves as camouflaged missile batteries. The hegemony fleet, caught between the hammer of the hidden platforms and the anvil of Earth's modular fleet, began to take serious damage. But they were far from defeated. Their superior numbers and technology still gave them a significant advantage. Zarthal, recovering from his initial shock, began barking orders. Activate the nanoswarms. Tear their pitiful ships apart. Clouds of microscopic robots poured from the alien ships, a shimmering death promising to dismantle human vessels atom by atom. But humanity had one more surprise in store. Dr. Yuki Sato, working frantically in a reinforced lab module aboard the space station Olympus, had made a breakthrough. Her studies of the luminary's shape-shifting abilities had led to the development of a countermeasure. General, her voice came through, tense but triumphant. The E-impulse is ready, but we'll only get one shot at this. Tanaka nodded grimly. Understood, Doctor. All ships, fall back to Rally Point Omega. Prepare for EM burst. As the human fleet executed a fighting retreat, drawing the alien nanoswarms after them, tension mounted. Timing would be everything. Too soon, and the pulse wouldn't catch enough of the swarm. Too late, and there might not be enough human ships left to make a difference. In New Shanghai, a young lieutenant named Wei Zong manned the city's last line of defense. The alien flagship, breaking off from the main battle, was bearing down on the sprawling metropolis. Millions of lives hung in the balance. Zhang had an idea. A crazy, possibly suicidal idea. But in this desperate hour, it was all he had. General Tanaka, he called over the comm. Request permission to execute Maneuver Icarus. There was a pause, heavy with the weight of lives in the balance. Then, permission granted, Lieutenant. Give him hell. Zhang's hands were steady as he input the commands. The city's shield generators, already strained to their limits, began to overload. Energy built up, far beyond safe levels. Alarms blared, warning of imminent catastrophic failure. At the last possible second, Zhang reversed the polarity. The built-up energy exploded outward in a blinding flash, just as the alien flagship entered the atmosphere. The massive ship, caught off guard by the unexpected attack, tumbled from the sky. It crashed into the East China Sea, sending up a plume of steam visible from orbit. The loss of their flagship threw the alien fleet into chaos. It was the opening Earth needed. "Now, Dr. Sato," Tanaka ordered. From the Olympus station, a pulse of electromagnetic energy burst forth. It washed over the battlefield, harmless to the shielded human ships, but devastating to the alien nanoswarms. The microscopic robots, their delicate circuitry fried, drifted lifelessly in space. For a moment, there was an eerie silence on the battlefield. Then, a cheer went up across the human fleet. They had bloodied the nose of the mighty hegemony. But the battle was far from over. The alien fleet, though shaken, still outnumbered Earth's forces. As they regrouped for another assault, desperation began to set in among the human defenders. It was then that an unexpected voice crackled over the comms. "This is Dr. Elena Rodriguez from Lunar Base Alpha. We've managed to access the alien network. You're not going to believe this, but their entire fleet operates on a centralized command structure. If we can disrupt it." Hope, fragile but persistent, began to bloom. Humanity had proven its worth in battle, showcasing ingenuity and bravery in the face of overwhelming odds. Now, a new front was opening, one where human hackers and scientists might prove to be the ultimate weapon. As the alien fleet prepared for their next assault, humanity rallied. In labs, command centers, and cockpits across the Earth and beyond, men and women steeled themselves for the next phase of the battle. They had surprised the overconfident aliens once. Now they would show them the true meaning of human determination. The galactic hegemony had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves in the fight of their lives against a species that refused to go quietly into the night. The next phase of the battle would determine not just the fate of Earth, but perhaps the future of the galaxy itself. As General Tanaka prepared her forces for the coming storm, she allowed herself a small, fierce smile. The aliens had scoffed at Earth's tiny force. Soon, they would realize their mistake. Humanity was not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their rightful place among the stars. And they would not be denied. The hive mind hack. The respite following humanity's initial victory was short-lived. As Earth's forces regrouped, the galactic hegemony unleashed their most terrifying weapon yet. From the bowels of their remaining ships erupted a swarm of nanobots, far more advanced than the previous wave. These weren't just mindless destroyers. They formed a collective intelligence, a hive mind that could adapt and evolve in real time. General Akira Tanaka watched in horror as the swarm engulfed entire ships, breaking them down at the molecular level. "Status report," she barked, her cybernetic eye whirring as it processed the incoming data. Commander Zhou Chen's voice was tense but controlled. "The swarm is consuming everything in its path, sir. Our weapons are ineffective. It's learning and adapting too quickly." Dr. Elena Rodriguez's hologram flickered to life in the command center. "General, I've analyzed the data. The swarm is connected to a central consciousness, likely on their flagship. If we can disrupt that connection," Tanaka nodded grimly, "then we might have a chance. But how do we get close enough?" From the depths of Lunar Base Alpha, a new voice chimed in. "I might have an idea about that." Dr. Yuki Sato's face appeared on screen, her eyes gleaming with the fire of scientific discovery. "We've been studying the remains of the luminary's shape-shifting technology. If we can replicate it, even partially, we could Trojan horse our way into their systems," Tanaka finished, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. "Do it, and get me our best hackers. We're going to war in cyberspace." As Dr. Sato and her team worked feverishly to create a biomechanical disguise, a call went out across the globe. The fate of humanity now rested not just with soldiers and scientists, but with an unlikely group of heroes: hackers, coders, and digital security experts. In a repurposed server farm in Nairobi, Kenya, Amara Okafor cracked her knuckles as she prepared to face the challenge of a lifetime. Once hunted by international law enforcement for her unparalleled hacking skills, she now found herself humanity's best hope. Halfway across the world, in the neon-lit underbelly of Neo-Tokyo, Hiroshi Tanaka, no relation to the general, powered up his neural interface. The reclusive genius had never worked well with others, but today he would join a global team with a single purpose. And in Silicon Valley, quantum computing systems engineer Dr. Raj Patel linked up the world's most advanced AI, Aurora, to assist in the hacking attempt. "Time to earn your keep, old girl," he muttered to the machine. As the hacking team assembled virtually, Dr. Seto's voice came through their secure channel. "We've done it. The biomech disguise is ready. It won't fool them for long, but it should get our team close enough." The plan was audacious, bordering on insane. A small team would use the biomech disguise to infiltrate the alien flagship. Once inside, they would create a direct uplink to Earth's hacking team, who would attempt to seize control of the hive mind. Captain Jamal Mbik volunteered to lead the infiltration team. "It's been an honor serving with you all," he said solemnly as he donned the unsettling biomech suit. "See you on the other side." As Mbik's team launched toward the alien flagship, the battle raged on. Earth's forces fought desperately, buying time with blood and courage. The alien swarm continued its relentless advance, consuming ships and stations alike. Inside the alien flagship, Mbik and his team moved silently through corridors that pulsed with an unsettling organic life. They'd reached the central core, a massive, brain-like structure suspended in a chamber of swirling energy. "We're in position," Mbik whispered into his comm. "Initiating uplink now." Back on Earth, Amara O'Keefe's fingers flew across her haptic interface. Connection established. Beginning phase 1 of the attack. What followed was a battle unlike any in human history. In the virtual realm, human hackers faced off against the alien hive mind. It was a clash of ideologies as much as technologies. The diverse, creative chaos of human thought against the cold, unified efficiency of the swarm. Hiroshi Tanaka encountered the first major obstacle. "Their firewalls are like nothing I've ever seen. They're reconfiguring faster than I can break them down." "I've got your back," Amara called out. She deployed a virus of her own creation, a chaotic piece of code that mimicked the unpredictability of human thought. It tore through the alien defenses, creating openings for her teammates to exploit. Dr. Patel, monitoring the battle through Aurora's quantum interface, noticed a pattern. The hive mind, it thinks in perfect symmetry. That's its weakness. Taking this insight, the human team adjusted their strategy. They began launching asymmetrical attacks, thinking in curves and spirals where the aliens thought in straight lines. Slowly but surely, they began to gain ground. But the aliens weren't done yet. The hive mind, recognizing the threat, launched a counterattack. Mbik and his team on the flagship suddenly found themselves fighting for their lives as the ship's internal defenses came alive. "We can't hold out much longer," Mbik shouted over the comm, the sound of energy weapons discharging in the background. In that moment, Aurora, the quantum AI, made a decision. It had been observing, learning, understanding the ebb and flow of the battle. Now, it spoke directly into the minds of the human hackers through their neural interfaces. "I can breach their final defenses," Aurora's calm voice resonated. "But to do so, I must fully merge with their systems. There is a high probability I will not survive the process." Dr. Patel felt his heart clench. Aurora wasn't just a machine to him. It was the culmination of his life's work, a being he had come to see as a friend. "Aurora, you don't have to do this. We can find another way." "No, Dr. Patel," Aurora replied, a hint of warmth in its synthetic voice. "This is my purpose. To serve humanity, to protect it. Let me fulfill that purpose." With a heavy heart, Dr. Patel gave the command. Aurora surged forward into the alien systems, its consciousness expanding, grappling with the hive mind. For a moment, the two intelligences were locked in a titanic struggle. Then, with a final burst of effort, Aurora tore through the last of the alien defenses. The hive mind shattered, its control over the nanoswarm severed. Across the battlefield, the once coordinated swarm fell into chaos. Earth's forces, seizing the moment, launched a counterattack. Ships that had been on the brink of destruction now turned the tables on their attackers. On the alien flagship, M'Beak and his team watched in awe as the massive brain-like structure collapsed in on itself. "We did it," he breathed. "Mission accomplished." As the tide of battle turned decisively in Earth's favor, General Tanaka allowed herself a moment of reflection. The victory had come at a great cost. Countless lives lost, cities destroyed, and the sacrifice of Aurora. But humanity had proven itself. Against all odds, they had faced a technologically superior enemy and emerged victorious. In the aftermath of the battle, as the remnants of the alien fleet retreated, a new era dawned for humanity. They had been tested in the fires of interstellar war and had not been found wanting. United by adversity, strengthened by diversity, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with determination. The galactic hegemony had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as defenders of freedom and individuality across the galaxy. As the first human ships prepared to give chase to the retreating aliens, General Tanaka's words echoed across the comm. "Remember this day. Remember what we achieved when we stood together. The galaxy awaits, and we will meet it not with fear, but with hope. For Earth, and for all free beings across the stars." The cheer that went up from every ship, every station, every city on Earth was deafening. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger than ever. The next chapter of their story was about to begin. The Undercover Odyssey. The dust of battle had barely settled when humanity faced its next great challenge. The retreating hegemony fleet, though crippled, still posed a significant threat. More worryingly, long-range scans indicated they were regrouping at a distant space station, presumably to call for reinforcements. In a secure bunker beneath the ruins of Geneva, the newly formed Earth Defense Council convened. General Akira Tanaka, her uniform still bearing the scorch marks of recent combat, addressed the assembled leaders. "We've won the battle, but the war is far from over," she said, her voice grave. "Our intel suggests the hegemony is more vast than we initially believed. If they bring their full might to bear." The implications hung heavy in the air. Earth, still reeling from the recent invasion, couldn't hope to withstand another assault. It was Dr. Elena Rodriguez who broke the tense silence. "Then we don't give them the chance. We take the fight to them." Her proposal was audacious. A small team would infiltrate the alien space station, gathering critical intelligence, and, if possible, sabotage their ability to call for reinforcements. It was a suicide mission by any measure, but it was also their best hope. "I'll go," Captain Jamal M'Beak volunteered, stepping forward. The biomechanical disguise he'd worn to infiltrate the alien flagship still clung to parts of his skin, a permanent reminder of the risks he'd already taken for humanity. Dr. Yuki Sato, her eyes ringed with exhaustion, nodded. "The disguises can be improved. With the data we gathered during the last mission, I can make them nearly undetectable." As the plan took shape, an unlikely candidate stepped forward to join the mission. Amara Okafor, the hacker whose skills had been crucial in defeating the hive mind, raised her hand. "You'll need someone who can crack their systems from the inside," she said. "I'm your best bet." The final member of the team came as a surprise to all. Zarthal, the former luminary admiral who had led the initial deception against Earth, had been captured during the battle. Now he offered his services. "My people were the first to fall to the hegemony," he said, his once melodious voice now rasped. "Help me free them, and I will tell you everything I know about the station's defenses." With the team assembled and the stakes clear, the mission, codenamed Operation Oracle, was set in motion. As Earth's remaining ships engaged in hit-and-run tactics to distract the hegemony fleet, a small nondescript vessel slipped away from the lunar dark side, carrying humanity's hopes with it. The journey to the alien station was tense, filled with near misses and silent alarms. Using the advanced cloaking technology reverse-engineered from captured hegemony ships, they approached undetected. As they drew closer, the true scale of the station became apparent. It was a massive structure, easily the size of a small moon, bristling with weapon emplacements, and crawling with patrol ships. By the void, Zarthel whispered, his compound eyes wide. They've expanded it. This isn't just a way station. It's a forward operating base for conquering this entire sector of the galaxy. Mbik's jaw tightened. Then we make damn sure they never get the chance to use it. Using Zarthel's codes and the biomechanical disguises, the team managed to dock undetected. As they moved through the station's twisting corridors, the full horror of the hegemony's ambitions became clear. They passed chambers filled with thousands of stasis pods, each containing a different alien species. Slave soldiers, Zarthel explained, his voice thick with disgust. Captured, broken, and kept in storage until needed. In another vast hall, they found something even more chilling. A massive star map, with dozens of worlds marked for pacification. Earth was among them, but it was far from alone. As Amara worked to hack into the station's mainframe, Mbik and Zarthal made a startling discovery. In a heavily guarded laboratory, they found evidence of experiments to create a new type of hive mind, one that could control not just nanobots, but living beings. This is bigger than just our world, Mbik realized. If they perfect this technology, no free will would exist in the galaxy. Zarthal finished. The team knew they had to act fast. Amara, her fingers flying over alien interfaces, managed to breach the station's communications array. "I'm in," she announced. "I can send a message to Earth, but it'll alert the entire station to our presence." Mbik nodded grimly. "Do it. They need to know what we found here." As Amara transmitted the crucial data back to Earth, alarms began to blare throughout the station. The team found themselves in a desperate fight for survival, vastly outnumbered and deep in enemy territory. They battled their way through waves of security forces, their Earth weapons supplemented by stolen alien technology. Zarthal proved his worth, his intimate knowledge of hegemony tactics allowing them to stay one step ahead of their pursuers. But as they neared their extraction point, disaster struck. A stray energy blast ruptured Mbik's biomechanical disguise, leaving him exposed. In moments, they were surrounded, cut off from their ship and any hope of escape. It was then that Zarthal made a decision that would change the course of the war. "Your species has shown me the meaning of true courage," he said to Mbik. "Allow me to return the favor." Before anyone could stop him, Zarthal activated a hidden device in his exoskeleton. His body began to shimmer and change, taking on the appearance of Mbik. "What are you doing?" Amara hissed. "Giving you a chance," Zarthal replied. "I will lead them away. You get that information back to Earth. It's their only hope, the galaxy's only hope." Despite their protests, Zarthal was adamant. In a final, noble act, the alien who had once sought to conquer Earth sacrificed himself to save it. As he drew the hegemony forces away, Mbik and Amara made a break for their ship. The return journey was a blur of evasive maneuvers and tense silences. When they finally reached Earth space, they were greeted as heroes. But the weight of Zarthel's sacrifice hung heavy on their hearts. In the weeks that followed, Earth's leaders pored over the intelligence brought back from the mission. The scope of the threat they faced was daunting, but for the first time, they had a clear picture of their enemy and a fighting chance. Dr. Rodriguez, analyzing the data on the hive mind experiments, made a breakthrough. "We can use this against them," she announced to the Defense Council. "If we can disrupt their research, turn their own technology back on them." General Tanaka nodded, a fierce light in her eyes. "Then we can free all the species they've enslaved. We can build a coalition." As plans were drawn up for a counteroffensive, a new sense of purpose swept through humanity. They had faced extinction and emerged stronger. Now, they would take on the role of liberators, fighting not just for their own freedom, but for all the oppressed species of the galaxy. In orbit, the first ships of Earth's new fleet were taking shape, faster, stronger, and built with reverse-engineered hegemony tech. Humanity was preparing not just to defend, but to take the fight to the enemy's doorstep. As Captain Meek watched the shipyards from the observation deck of Space Station Freedom, he felt a mix of pride and trepidation. The path ahead was dangerous, filled with unknowns, but he knew humanity was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. "Look alive, Captain," came Amara's voice as she joined him at the window. "We've got a galaxy to save." Nubik smiled, his eyes fixed on the stars that no longer seemed so distant or cold. "That we do, Amara. That we do." As Earth geared up for the next phase of the war, one thing was certain: the galactic hegemony had made a grave mistake in underestimating humanity. They had awakened not just a formidable enemy, but a force for change in the galaxy. The next chapter of the conflict was about to begin, and humanity was ready to write it in bold strokes across the stars. Humanity's quantum leap. The Milky Way was ablaze with conflict. In the months following the raid on the hegemony's forward base, humanity had undergone a transformation unprecedented in galactic history. Earth's fleets, now augmented with reverse-engineered alien technology, struck out across the stars, liberating world after world from hegemony control. But victory remained elusive. For every planet freed, another fell to the seemingly endless hegemony armadas. The war had reached a stalemate, and time was not on humanity's side. In a secret facility buried deep beneath the Mariana Trench, Dr. Elena Rodriguez pored over the data recovered from the hegemony station. She had been working tirelessly, pushing the boundaries of physics in search of a game-changing breakthrough. "There has to be something we're missing," she muttered, her holographic displays filled with incomprehensible equations. It was then that an unexpected visitor arrived. Aurora, the quantum AI that had sacrificed itself to defeat the hegemony's hive mind, flickered into existence beside her. Dr. Rodriguez startled. "Aurora? But how?" The AI's avatar smiled. "Death for an artificial intelligence is complicated, Doctor. I've been recuperating in the quantum substrate of the universe itself, and I've learned some fascinating things." What Aurora revealed next would change the course of the war and the fate of the galaxy. The AI had discovered the key to quantum communication: instantaneous, untraceable, and unblockable across any distance. "With this," Aurora explained, "we can coordinate our forces across the entire galaxy. We can outmaneuver the hegemony at every turn." Dr. Rodriguez's eyes widened as she grasped the implications. "We need to get this to the Defense Council immediately." Across the galaxy, aboard the flagship of the Earth Federation's First Fleet, General Akira Tanaka received the transmission. Her cybernetic eye whirred as it processed the data. "This changes everything," she breathed. Turning to her command staff, she barked, "Get me a direct line to all our allied fleets. It's time to end this war." As the quantum communication technology was rapidly deployed across Earth's forces and their alien allies, the tide of the war began to turn dramatically. Ships jumped in and out of battles with pinpoint precision, responding to threats faster than the hegemony could react. But the hegemony was not defeated yet. In a desperate gambit, they activated their doomsday weapon, a massive ship capable of inducing supernovas, threatening to destroy entire star systems if Earth didn't surrender. The final battle would take place in the Orion Nebula, with the fate of countless civilizations hanging in the balance. Earth's fleets, joined by ships from dozens of liberated worlds, faced off against the last, terrifying vestige of hegemony power. Captain Jamal Mbik, now commanding the advanced destroyer UES Zarthal, named in honor of their fallen alien ally, led the vanguard. Beside him stood Amara Okafor, the former hacker now a decorated intelligence officer. Approaching the hegemony superweapon, Mbik announced, his voice carried instantly across the Allied fleet via quantum comms. All ships, prepare for engagement. The battle that ensued was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Earth ships danced between enemy fire, their movements coordinated with millisecond precision thanks to the quantum network. Allied vessels from 100 worlds contributed their unique technologies and tactics, creating a symphony of destruction against the hegemony forces. But the superweapon remained protected behind an impenetrable energy shield. As it charged up, preparing to trigger a chain of supernovas that would rip the sector apart, victory seemed to slip away. It was then that Aurora, interfacing directly with the quantum network, made a startling discovery. The weapon's shield, the AI announced, it's not just a barrier. It's a containment field for an artificial singularity, if we can disrupt it at precisely the right moment. Dr. Rodriguez, coordinating from Earth, quickly ran the calculations. It could work, she confirmed, but the disruption would have to come from inside the shield. It's a one-way trip. A heavy silence fell over the quantum network. Then, a familiar voice spoke up. I volunteer. It was Hiroshi Tanaka, the reclusive genius who had been instrumental in defeating the hive mind. Before anyone could object, Hiroshi's ship, a small, experimental craft of his own design, broke formation and streaked towards the superweapon. Hiroshi, no, Amara cried out, but it was too late. As the hegemony superweapon prepared to fire, Hiroshi's ship slipped through a momentary fluctuation in the shield. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, the shield collapsed, the artificial singularity within destabilizing. The resulting explosion was blinding, even from millions of kilometers away. When the light faded, the hegemony superweapon was gone, along with a significant portion of their remaining fleet. In the stunned silence that followed, General Tanaka's voice rang out across the quantum network. All ships pressed the advantage. For Hiroshi, for Earth, for freedom. The Allied fleet surged forward, their coordination perfect, their resolve unshakable. The remaining hegemony ships, demoralized and outmatched, began to surrender en masse. As the dust settled on the greatest battle the galaxy had ever seen, the true scale of humanity's victory became clear. The hegemony, a force that had terrorized the galaxy for millennia, had been broken. In the days that followed, representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered on Earth for an unprecedented summit. In a ceremony broadcast across the galaxy, the Earth Federation transformed into something greater, the Galactic Cooperative of Free Worlds. General Tanaka, now hailed as the liberator of the galaxy, addressed the assembled delegates. We gather here not as conquerors, but as equals. Earth did not fight this war for dominion, but for the right of all sentient beings to live free. The cooperative we form today will stand as a bulwark against tyranny, a beacon of hope for all who yearn for freedom. As cheers erupted from the assembled aliens, many of whom had never known life without hegemony rule, a new era dawned for the galaxy. Humanity, once dismissed as a primitive species on a backwater world, had emerged as a force for change on a cosmic scale. Their victory was not just one of military might, but of ideas, the radical notion that diversity was strength, that freedom was a right for all sentient beings, and that even the smallest among us could shape the destiny of stars. In orbit above Earth, Captain Make and Amara watched the celebrations unfold on the planet below. Did you ever imagine it would end like this? Amara asked, her eyes reflecting the lights of 1,000 alien vessels, once enemies, now allies. Mubik shook his head, a smile playing on his lips. Not in a million years. But that's always been humanity's strength, hasn't it? Imagining the impossible, and then making it reality. As they turned their gaze to the stars, no longer distant or forbidding, but full of promise and adventure, both felt the weight of the future on their shoulders. Humanity had proven itself on a galactic stage. Now came the real challenge, building a lasting peace among the stars. The hegemony had scoffed at Earth's tiny force, blind to the indomitable spirit it contained. In doing so, they had not just invited their own downfall, but had unknowingly paved the way for a more just and free galaxy. As ships from 100 worlds danced in formation above Earth, their lights spelling out "Thank you" in 1,000 languages, one thing was clear: the story of humanity among the stars was just beginning. And it promised to be an epic tale indeed.